Hi, I'm John Latney, and I'd like to give you a quick crash course introduction to music theory using topologica. First off, we're going to learn about major, minor, dominant, augmented, and diminished chords. Let's start with the C major 7, which is a major chord. To create one, we start with a C, we go up 4 half steps to reach the major third, then another 3 half steps to reach the perfect fifth. Sounds pleasant, fairly simple. We can invert it, ignoring the 7 briefly. And that's our major chord. The one other note we typically add in jazz is the major 7, which is a half step actually below the octave, or below the root. Altogether, it gives us kind of a jazzy finishing sound. Now, let's take a look at the minor 7 chord. In this case, you'll notice that we are now only going up 3 half steps to reach the minor third, and then 4 half steps to again reach the perfect fifth, and then another 3 half steps to reach the minor 7th, which is actually now lowered by 2 half steps from the root. And as you can tell, it sounds a little bit sad, just like any minor chord should. Next up, let's take a look at dominant chords. The main differentiating factor between a dominant chord and a major chord is only the 7th. See the difference? Similarly, the only difference between a dominant chord and a minor chord is the third. Everything else remains the same. So these 3rd and 7th, they sound kind of weird against each other. This creates musical tension that ultimately makes us want to resolve. Where to? To F, in this case. But we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. So right now we're only working along this top axis, which keeps us always on a C, but just lets us change the flavor of the chord. The second axis moves along the 2-5-1 progression, which is one of our next subjects. Now, let's take a look at the augmented chord. In this case, the only difference between an augmented chord and a major chord is that the 5th has now been raised. So instead of going just 4 half steps and 3, we got 4 half steps and 4. And it sounds kind of weird. Typically we'll use a C major 7 with a sharp 5 or any type of augmented chord as a transition from a major chord we're already using to another chord. For instance, let's take a simple progression, skipping ahead again onto the 2-5-1 axis. Let's just move between 1 and 2. So here's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1 sharp 5, or augmented, 2, back to 1. Finally, let's take a look at the diminished chord. I picked a pink color for this one because it's both similar to the dominant chord in that it has a lot of tension, and to the minor chord because it is a little bit sad. Let's take a listen. On the color board, so in this case, the only difference, again, is the 5th from the minor, except in this case, now we're lowering the 5th. If you've picked up on the fact that major chords are generally involve notes being a half step higher than their minor counterparts, you're exactly on the right track. So let's now take a quick listen to a way we can use the diminished chord as another part of these transitions that we're using. So let's again move between 1 and 2. So now, as I augmented to a minor, to a diminished, hear that tension? We really want to hear it resolve. And that's it. Now you know all of the basic flavors of chords that we use in jazz, pop, and basically any other type of music. A lot of the other things we like to do is add lots of notes to these, and oftentimes add notes that sound kind of weird because, I mean, that's what music's all about. But congrats, you just learned music theory.